We've had earlier attacks in Delhi too, at places like Sarojini Nagar and all these crowded places. So you're right that the aim was to create a kind of fear all around, which is the cause of purpose of every terrorist group. Operation Sindoor was really successful. There's no doubt about it, and but we did not degrade the complete capability of the Lashkar-e-Toiba or JM. It was symbolic. We hit their headquarters, and we hit them very hard.
Joining me now on Global Pulse is Yashovardhan Azad. He's former special director with the Intelligence Bureau. He's also served as Central Information Commissioner of India, somebody who understands matters of internal security better than most others. Yashovardhan Azad, good to have you on Global Pulse. Thanks for joining me. Let me begin by asking you, we're now talking about what has come to be known as the Faridabad terror module. Some are calling it the doctor's module. In your assessment, how big a terror network are we looking at, even as investigations continue? And how massive a scale do you believe they were planning to mount these attacks on?
Neha, this is one of the most sinister modules that I have come across, and one of the reasons, as you've already said, it's a doctor's module. Started at Faridabad, but has its traces in Kashmir, and now, of course, is spreading to UP. And I don't know as to where else will the linkages go. And that's why I have said that this module is going to have a tremendous, tremendous bearing on our internal security setup. Now, the incident which took place at Red Fort, of course, set off the module as such, though the recoveries had been made earlier. But the people got to know the real, the force, the full fury of it on that particular evening. Now, the biggest issue in this module is that not only did it result out of radicalization, which is a serious problem in our country and which we had seen earlier when the ISIS was doing this various kinds of programs to lure the educated from the internet. And if you recall, a lot of people from Kerala had gone.
Yeah.
And those youngsters who had gone to Kerala, some of them died on the battlefields, their battlefields. And many of them came back scared. And then they gave these interviews how they were lured on the internet. So, in that respect, this doctor's module, and as you know, there's another one which is about rice in Gujarat, which was busted. Together, if you take these two, they could have caused tremendous mayhem in the country, staggering losses. And that's why I would say is one of the worst and the dangerous modules that we have come across.
Most certainly. And, even this has been a terrible tragedy with 13 lives being lost. But when you think about the scale on which these attacks were perhaps being planned, it is absolutely terrifying and mind boggling to think that 2,900 kilos of bomb making material, including ammonium nitrate, was recovered by the police during multiple raids at multiple locations in North India. And now reports seem to suggest, as investigations continue, that they had perhaps planned to target the national capital with serial bomb blasts on 6 December, which, as we know, is the anniversary of the Babri Masjid demolition. Now, Yashovardhan Azad, you of course made the very important point about radicalization, which India does need to address on a war footing. But the other issue that we cannot ignore here is the unmistakable Jaish-e-Muhammad angle that has emerged to this entire sinister terror plot. To think that it all started with certain JM posters being put up in Srinagar, that's where the investigation of the Jammu and Kashmir police began. Now, if we go by the preliminary investigation, as always, our difficult neighbor, the terror exporting Pakistan, seems to be in the picture. What do you make of that and of everything that we know so far about a JEM angle to this entire case?
Well, let me start by saying that if you recall, the vehicle borne ID attack against the JNK assembly in October 2001 was carried out by the Jaish-e-Muhammad. And Jaish-e-Muhammad, the signature is there all over. And we've had earlier attacks in Delhi too, at places like Sarojini Nagar and all these crowded places. So you're right that the aim was to create a kind of fear all around, which is the cause of purpose of every terrorist group. Now, in this kind of an investigation, I think there is a very mature response to this terrorist incident by both the opposition and the government. The government and the police forces did not jump to conclusions immediately that this has a JM stamp or a lead stamp. They kept quiet for 2 days. First, they registered the case under the UAPA 16 and 18, and then they said all possibilities will be taken. And the Prime Minister also said, okay, action will be taken against the perpetrators. On the other hand, the opposition also did not start that blame game immediately. Now, the question is today, when we are investigating this case, there are a lot of leads and linkages we have to do. First, you have got Dr. Umar, you have got a few doctors, but there are series of couriers, dealers, sellers, as per the chemical signature of the nitrate which you have got. So after this, then you have to go through those encrypted messages. You have to find out the handlers. You have to see what is the kind of plan they had made. Two of them had gone to Turkey and they had come back. So, after only all this, then you should make a pointed statement as to who are the ones who are at the head of this conspiracy, right? So, I'm happy that immediately we have not jumped to this conclusion. Yes, once we arrive at all these spokes at the end and we see all that, and then we can point out to the world, give the evidence, and finally name the accused, the main accused, and then contemplate on taking further action.
The investigations are still ongoing, and as we discussed, we can't really jump to any conclusions. But one does recall what happened, Mr. Azad, during Operation Sindoor when India's armed forces, launched one of the biggest anti-terror operations ever. And we saw, amongst others, the Jaish-e-Muhammad terror infrastructure being precisely targeted and to some extent destroyed. Uh, how do you see this terror attack that's taken place in the national capital in view of Operation Sindoor? Do you see any linkage between the two? I know this is purely speculative.
No, but this is a very important question, Neha, and I'm glad you asked it. See, I would reply first saying that Operation Sindoor was really successful. There's no doubt about it. And but we did not degrade the complete capability of the Lashkar-e-Toiba or JEM. It was symbolic. We hit their headquarters and we hit them very hard. And of course, we hit other bases also. Now, the question is that were we expecting that they will not reform again, reconstitute again? No, I think that it was foolish to accept that they would not reconstitute themselves or reorganize themselves. You see, for example, behind them was the Pakistan government. In fact, the Pakistani government did everything to facilitate the donations again, to sort of get them back on their feet. The mosques got rebuilt, the headquarters started getting rebuilt. And mind you, Neha, only recently the JEM was found to be recruiting in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and their entire activities have started again. But this radicalization program was going on before. It is in a way distanced from it. In a way, you may connect that yes, this is a kind of a revenge, they would say, if this action would have succeeded. So this is certainly a kind of a signal to us that JEM back, and tomorrow even Lashkar-e-Taiba might be very active. So we have to be on the alert because we know that the war against terrorism is a long and an arduous one.
Absolutely. Now, you would recall, Mr. Azad, that, Pakistan's army chief, Asim Munir, had made some very objectionable and anti India statements days before the Pahalgam terror attack. Now we see him giving himself more powers than perhaps any other army chief in the history of that country. Many, in fact, are saying that a quiet coup has already taken place in Pakistan. Now you also have this terror attack taking place in India's national capital. How do you think New Delhi is likely to deal with terror exporting Pakistan in this new context, given that the government has time and again said Operation Sindoor is not over, it has only been paused?
Well, Neha, let me say at the very outset that this is a very sensitive question in terms of diplomacy, international, politics, and internal security. So one has to be very careful while treading on it. The government did make that statement. They did say that the Operation Sindoor is on. But in this particular case, as I pointed out earlier, that the response so far has been very, very mature. And the other thing is that in this, unless we come right till the end of our investigation, and I would say even beyond, in the sense, let us see the handlers, let us find where this is originated from, who gave the plan, where did the maps come from, etc., etc. Then you'll be able to name the accused, first give the evidence all over. And then perhaps it's a very, very tricky question whether should we go through the exercise again or not. Will it ultimately lead to a complete solution? Because I'm linking it to something else, Neha. I'm linking it up to Kashmir. See, the real problem is Kashmir, right? Kashmir cannot be solved in the next at least 30 to 40 years. I always say that it can be managed. It can be managed. Sometime back you realize there were pockets which will talk Pakistan. Now that's finished. Nobody talks of Pakistan. There are few pockets now which talk of autonomy. Even that will finish when we'll be strong. Kashmir will be a great economy. So at this particular time, these modules will keep recurring. It's not that this module ends and everything is over. So you can't do it again and again. So it has to be a very carefully thought about, calibrated kind of an exercise, diplomatic channels. I would suggest that. And then once you exhaust everything, then only take the final decision.
Fair enough. Final question, Mr. Azad, before we let you go. This is a terror attack that has taken place near an iconic and very sensitive location in India's national capital. We're talking about the Red Fort, from where the Prime Minister unfurls the national flag on every Independence Day. And also, this is the first such terror attack that has taken place in Delhi after many years. What do you think really are the key lessons here for India's security agencies?
Oh, there are a lot of lessons, Neha, and I'm very, very glad that you asked, because ultimately the exercise of the government is not only to react immediately, but also to bring about improvements and see what actions can be taken. Number one, you see, when Dr. Umar left in panic, Faridabad, he left at 7 o'clock in the morning after the seizure was done. And that's why he ran. And he went through 60 kilometers through various nakas without even being asked. So, was there an alert issued? If there an alert was issued, why didn't the nakas react? Thereafter, when he entered Delhi, he was loitering around for about 12 hours. 3 hours, it was parked in Red Fort. If we had a better AI enabled system, yeah, of a smart control room, maybe you would have been able to identify the vehicle. So these are the kind of improvements that we have to think upon. That's number one. Number two, Neha, the question is we have to look at de-radicalization program on a war footing. De-radicalization cannot be just left to the policemen or to the intelligence agencies. I think it's time that the Prime Minister calls all the chief ministers and tells them, hey, this is a very serious problem. Because if the educated people are falling into this trap, it's time you talk to the educated set of people. How many times do the chief ministers talk to the young professionals or to the middle class? They are mostly talking to their voters, where everything is about voter politics. So you have to engage the heads of the institutions, heads of colleges, schools, the society leaders. They have to come forward in this and see that the de-radicalization is very effective. Number three, things like ammonium nitrate, how do they move? What about the chemical signatures? What is the kind of a procedure we can have so that we can track them immediately? That's number three. Number four, we should go to various places and to these institutions and find out why people are not why people are not engaging in an activity in which you are true to your nation by reporting. Don't move away because of fear. Give them the confidence. So these are a couple of things I think they have to look into. In fact, look into the entire internal security setup as a whole. More training, more preparation, and more solid determination.
And also credit where credit is due. You'd agree the Jammu and Kashmir police have really done a stellar job there. Given the amount of explosives that have been recovered, the damage could have been far worse. You'd agree.
Oh, yes, Neha. I'm so sorry I didn't mention it. And thank God you mentioned it. I mean, my kudos to that man, that SHO who saw that CCTV, ferreted out the material, saw the poster, saw the person sticking it, and the relevant SP who actually gave this minefield of information. Hats off to him. A great job done.
Kudos indeed to the Jammu and Kashmir police who've done a very, very important job and saved many lives. And I think you're right, de-radicalization is really something that the government will need to focus on in a big way. Perhaps what's terrified most people about this terror module is that we're talking about doctors who turned into terrorists. But on that note, Yashovardhan Azad, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me on Global Pulse.
Thanks.